Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Keith Green. I'm starting a new video series today called Bridgman's Gauntlet. It's inspired kind of by David Finch's video where he essentially says to draw through this Bridgman's Complete Guides to Drawing from Life. Gesture drawing or figure drawing is something that I've really wanted to do, or have been attempting to do poorly for a long time, and I'm hoping to get better through this gauntlet, because I think it says on the front there's over 1,000 drawings in this book, and I'm just going to try and go through it one at a time, and we'll see where we end up. As you can see, I kind of cheated. I did this one yesterday, just as a test. And I expect this one actually came out not too bad. I'm fairly happy with it, but I expect there'll be many, many worse drawings that appear. It's quite early. It's early for me on a Sunday. So I'm just going to start with a little warm-up. This warm-up is taken from, I think his name is Josh Black. He did like a Proco video where he just talked about warming up by drawing like ellipses, cutting them into slices. I quite like it as a warm-up. It kind of gets you to focus on your lines, gets you thinking about perspective, objects in space. And I probably should say as well that I am a complete amateur, as you can probably see. I'm just a hobbyist, enthusiast when it comes to drawing. I've only really been drawing for about year and a half, 2 years maybe, and I'm like 32, 33, one of the two. So don't really be expecting all that much. And I mean, part of the reason that I'm making these videos is that I kind of wanted to. I see a lot of videos online by professionals, like artists that I look up to, people like Peter Hahn, David Finch, Proco, etc. And they're always just so good. And Richard Smitherman as well, actually. I really like his videos and live streams, Karl Kopinski. And these guys obviously have years and years of experience, and sometimes I find when I'm watching their videos, it can be a little bit intimidating, to be honest. Trying to, learn from what they're saying, because they're just so far ahead that it's kind of like a caterpillar trying to learn from a butterfly how to fly. So I thought it might be useful to make some videos of someone who's much more likely at the same stage as many people when they start looking up videos on YouTube of how to draw. And so you can hopefully all see the development, or hopefully there'll be developments. I guess we'll find out. So I'm just going to continue warming up here. Probably won't have too much more to say. I don't know how long this whole process will take in terms of, well, even today I'm expecting it to take a couple of hours, because we're just following that same format that David Finch sets out, where we're going to do a drawing from the book, twice from reference and then once from memory, and we're just going to see how it comes out. I might also, depending on how much time it takes me, add a a drawing from imagination at the end. I mean, that's ultimately where I want to get to, is drawing figures from imagination in any pose. So even though my knowledge of anatomy is practically non-existent, and the amount of time that I'd spent drawing figures is not really that long. I've really just been working on my fundamentals the past couple of years, like trying to just draw lines straight and consistently without messing up. That my figures are generally really, really bad. The proportions are all over the place, the perspective's wonky, the anatomy doesn't work, and ultimately they don't really look good, to be honest. But that's okay. That's fine. That's just the name of the game. When you're trying to get better at something, you have to appreciate that for a long time, you're basically going to suck at it. So yeah, really, I'm just making these videos in a sort of effort to keep myself accountable, make sure I keep drawing, make sure I keep up a regular regime of drawing, because I tend to rely quite a lot on classes as a way to keep up with drawing. I've done, as of right now, I've done 2 courses with Peter Hahn, just this dynamic sketching and dynamic sketching advanced. And they were about, 8 months apart? Something like that, or 6 months apart, like quite a long time in between the 2. And I found that I drew a lot more whilst doing those courses than I draw usually. So what I'm really trying to instill here by making these videos is a regular practice for myself where I really study. Like, I draw quite a lot, pretty much every day, at least, even if it's only for sort of 10-15 minutes, depending on like time constraints. But a lot of it is very unfocused, just drawing sort of what I'm thinking about, or if I'm on the phone to someone, or when I'm on the train on the way to work. I sometimes try to draw people that I see, that sort of stuff. And there's not really, what's the word I'm looking for? There's not really a focal point, I guess, in that practice. It's just, I'm just making sure that I keep drawing, basically. So what I'm hoping from this series of videos is that we'll see, hopefully, sort of consistent rate of growth, or at least to an extent. I would also say the reason that I wanted to start these videos series now is, as of the 9th, which is in about 4 days' time, I will be starting the dynamic figure course with Peter Hahn. I think it runs for about 8 weeks. So I'm expecting to see a certain level of growth and development that would probably be much, much higher than if I was just doing this drawing from this book. So I just wanted to show you where I started out, really, and hopefully we'll end up somewhere interesting. Anyway, I think that's good for a warm-up. So we will now move on to drawing from the book. And we are going by the book here. I'm just going to start right on the front cover picture, basically, which I have drawn once before. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. I don't really want to get sued by the Bridgman estate. I don't even know who owns the copyright to this. Maybe I should have emailed them. But I'm not going to show every drawing in this book because it might not go so well after I've drawn every single page. But yeah, if you want to take a screen grab, there it is. That's what I'm drawing. Okay. So see a center mass. This technique was really, there's a Ryan Benjamin video on Proco, just blocking in center mass in the hips, using that as a start point. I'm still not super familiar with it, so I find it a little bit hard, but the way that I'm trying to think of it is that these center masses are rounded forms. They have volume. So I'm going to just box up the hips here. Trying to keep it fairly loose. And generally I I just found this pen the other day, Tombow Fudo Nisaki. And I've been using Fudo Nisakis for a while. I like them a lot. But this one is specifically great because it's got grey on one side and black on the other. And the grey tip is a hard tip. And the black tip is a soft tip. So I find it just helps a lot when it comes to kind of shunting your mind into thinking about line weights. When you start using the black hard tip part of it. So I'm kind of just blocking in shapes here, hoping that it will come out okay. But we'll see. I think one of the things that Bridgman does really well, I think, David Finch thinks that one of the things that Bridgman does really well is he shows how forms interlock, which is supposedly very important when drawing a figure. You can kind of see why, because the weird thing about a lot of Bridgman's drawings is they're quite abstracted, I guess. Came down a bit later there. From the actual human form, but then they convey the sense of the human form extremely well. I really like the way that Bridgman draws his figures. Oof, that's rough. But whatever, it's fine. Trying to keep fairly fast and loose here, just thinking plainly. More so than anything else. Like, a lot of these little details that Bridgman has in his drawings really don't make a lot of sense to me at the moment. Hopefully that will change. But just understanding the planes and how they shift is really what I'm trying to get a sense of. It's a bit low for that arm. I'm just going to bang in a cylinder. Really trying to think structurally as well. Not so much straight, true to anatomy, as it were, but just trying to think about the forms in space and hope that through doing that, the sense of anatomy will sort of come to light. Really pushing that hip out. Pretty work out where the butt crack goes. I feel like it should be more towards this way. I'm just going to tighten the perspective on that box for the hips. Recalculate the center. Probably too far now, but we'll see how it ends up. Thankfully, this isn't a complete figure. So, don't have to draw the whole thing. Because I suck at hands and feet. And I mean, that's another thing that really appeals to me about Bridgman's work, is his estimation, indication of a hand. Very simple. But you can still tell what it is. Although I'm not sure I know what that is. Certainly doesn't look like a hand. Okay, let's just see if we can tidy this up a little bit. Comes out a little bit further. And then this slopes down a bit. This is the heel of the hand. Curves up into there, but fuck do I know. Okay. The thing is about Bridgman, which I don't really do a lot, is he definitely prefers these hard lines in comparison to curves, which I just think for the figure it just works just really well, undeniably. But it's not something that's particularly, it doesn't feel very natural to me. It feels very analytical. Oh god, I've really messed this up. I'm not sure if it's fixable. Just looking at the position here of the, whatever this strip of muscle is, I guess it's maybe part of a lat or something, and how it connects to the sacrum. Bridgman's really shown it as being kind of in line. Let's just try and fake it, see what happens. Yeah, I've gone way too wide. Way too wide with my hips. That's just part of the process, I guess. This is kind of like a plane that goes kind of like that, and it kind of goes up to there. And got kind of like a blocky shape. Wow, this is looking so much worse than my dry run. Although I guess that's partly because I'm really not used to speaking about what I'm drawing as I'm drawing it. But it's quite fun, actually. It means I'm not overthinking about the actual drawing part, so the lines are coming out nicer. Just not wholly accurate. And that's fairly usual for me, to be fair. So maybe I need to be a little bit more reflexive about what I'm drawing as I'm drawing it. And it's something that I typically, when I'm drawing, I'm really not thinking all that much, which gives a nice looseness, I think. It also means I can do things like talk whilst drawing, but at the same time, it kind of leads you to lose concentration on what it is you're trying to capture. And And so for all the things that I don't really understand, I'm trying as much as possible not to just copy Bridgman's lines. Really trying to break down I don't know what's going on there. Really trying to break down the planes and the forms he's trying to show, rather than just copy the line work. Although invariably, we always end up copying a little bit. And I guess it kind of comes from that sort of sense of confusion, of not really understanding certain decision processes, like why he's put a line where he's put a line. So you just think, oh, I'll copy it. Hopefully mine will come out looking vaguely the same. But invariably, if you just copy lines blindly, you don't really get anywhere. To at least sort of know what the line's meant to represent. So do a little bit of hatching, I guess. Just, I don't know, yeah, like I say, I have no idea what he was trying to express with these lines here. I imagine some sort of fold or ridge. But like I say, your guess is as good as mine, really. Try not to get too overworked down into the details. I just want to capture a couple of these planes on the lower back. This is bad. Bad, not good. I have no idea what that is, so I stopped drawing it. Because I can't remember where I heard it, but I once heard someone say that when you look at something, when you look at a pose, it confuses you, then that confusion will transfer pretty much directly. I think it was Richard Smithman who said that, transfer pretty much directly onto the paper into your drawing. So just looking at things, like, yeah, I don't even know why I drew that. Like, I didn't understand what it's doing, what value it's adding, what it's trying to express, so I probably shouldn't have drawn it at all. At least this I can identify as a plane. Okay. Let's just folds down there. I guess this is hair. I don't know. This bit is certainly hair. I don't know what this is. I guess top of the head and more hair. I don't know. I don't even know. But that would do. So let's just do a little reflection on this. I will bring the drawing in. I mean, I'm not going to be obviously monetizing this video, so hopefully don't get gonged for copyright. As you can see, Bridgman's is far superior, but let's see if we can work out why. I think the main issue I had... Oh, actually there's a lot of issues. This could probably be pulled in way more. The arm is way too long along the forearm. And this is something I usually always struggle with. The two main things I struggle with is proportion and angles. The angle here isn't actually that bad compared to the original picture. But the angle, like the line from the top of the hand to the top of the head, is all sorts of messed up. It should kind of be more like, so it should be that. And I've done it like that. So that's something I need to watch out for. Wrong angle. Or I don't even know what you call that. I guess it's the angle. And something that Peter mentions a lot in his class is this idea of negative space. So not looking necessarily at the pieces they're drawing themselves, but the space that you leave in between them. And in Bridgman's, he kind of has this, slightly diverges a bit, kind of like that shape from the top of the head to the top of the hand to the, I guess, the neck, the part where the neck joins the upper torso down to the elbow, the crease in the elbow. It kind of has that shape, but you can see mine is much more like that. So the negative space in between is all wrong, which one is why it looks wrong. Actually pretty happy with the back. I mean, it's not perfect. The way the contour of the muscles, this definitely leaves a lot to be desired in that, whatever this bit is down here, this presumably sheet of muscle, it must be a lat. That's all I can think. This is the last, I don't even know what the name is, but those big sheets that sit on your back. He's gone a bit wider with it, and it just feels more like in his drawing that it feeds in much nicer into this sort of, is this a sacrum? I think so. Again, not really a hugely proficient in anatomy knowledge. So yeah, I think I'm just for now going to focus on the angles and the length and the width of things. Not worry too much about the names of specific anatomical parts, because that would make for a very boring video, or at least a very short video. That's an elbow, that's a head, that's the back, that's the bum. That's about as much anatomy knowledge as I have. Yeah, that's a shoulder. There you go. Okay, so I'm just going to try and draw it again. Might go a little bit smaller this time. This is something that I've really been trying to implement quite a bit into my practice of trying to get this sense of big, small, medium, variate it a little bit more. Still not always perfect. In fact, if we look at my initial just some random shit. Drawing, it's pretty much a little bit smaller, but more or less the same size as this one. And although I am drawing on a fairly small piece of paper, I think this is only like 7" by 9 or something like that. I want to, as much as possible, try to be able to draw the things at a smaller scale and a larger scale. So we'll just try and draw it a little bit smaller this time. I am actually just going to grab a glass of water as well. I'll likely cut this bit out of the video. Also, can't remember if I've done it already, but I do want to apologise for my setup. I've just moved house, so everything's a bit all over the place at the moment. Not that it'd be much better if I had my actual drawing desk set up, but I think the camera angle would be a little bit nicer, be a little bit more true to what I'm actually drawing. So I like the initial bit smaller, gotta remember a bit smaller. I like the initial obstruction for the upper torso. I think I might throw in a gesture line early on. Maybe I should have started with that. It doesn't necessarily mean I have to stick to it, but it might help with placement a bit more. I'm going to try and get the angle of the hips right. So this time, rather than doing Ray and Benjamin's, just throwing in an abstract sort of ovoid or ellipse type shape, I'm trying to use this ellipse to show the tilt and the actual angle that the hips are moving at, and then I can box them up from there. Pushes out wide on this hip, closest corner, which means this is going to be going back in perspective, and this is going to be hidden from view. And then we can join that up. I mean, this is one of the things that I really do struggle with the most. It's just looking at this very abstract, simple set of shapes and trying to see it as a form on the page. And here it is. So just getting some moisturizer for my partner there. Okay, so I liked the use of 3 ellipses, even though Bridgman kind of connects these with little folds like that. You can really see in his drawing, like, there's 3 distinct ellipses. And then that back connection plugs in. It's kind of like, this is more like an egg-like shape. Doesn't really come down to a point, but I'm going to do it to a point just to, and that back connection kind of, like, it must be a lat. Like I say, I don't actually know, but I'm just going to call it a lat, and if I'm wrong, correct me. That's something else I wanted to mention. If you have any ideas of how I can improve my practice. I don't really care about improving the videography of the video making, because as I say, this is really just to keep me accountable more than anything else. But any ideas on how I can actually improve, get better faster, I'm all ears. So please feel free to comment your suggestions and make me regret ever suggesting that you do. Okay. Get that center line in there. And then that center line will inform the synchron. Top of the butt. Probably a little bit short, but actually, I don't know, we'll see. And this is like, I mean, looking at it now, it does just look like an incoherent mess. But hopefully, when the inkwork goes on top, the dark ink goes on top, it will tidy it up a little bit. So this kind of has a connector there and there. Probably a bit too long for the neck. Just gonna really tempted just to draw a ball for that head. I mean, let's just do it and see what happens. Probably gonna come back to bite me. So many straights. Bridgman's work, but it's just looks fucking epic. And here I probably should have put in just a bit more of a constructive calculation of where the head and the face goes, rather than just sort of eyeballing it and hoping for the best. I mean, you can see what you end up with from doing that. But we'll sort that out in a bit. Again, just drawing a couple of ellipses, work out where the shoulders are. Get that arm in. That plane change does seem to do a lot of heavy lifting. This is all kinds of fucked. So what I've done is I've put this shoulder way too close. See how much space there's there? So let's just bring it out a bit. And the problem is with drawing in ink is that you really can't do these sorts of adjustments all that much before the whole thing becomes super unreadable. Which is why, I mean, grey ink was a big revelation for me. Just being able to do the underdrawing. I do like drawing in ink more so than pencil. At least at the moment I do. Wow, I think this is even worse than the first one. But hey, hopefully we'll see. Well, you know, after this we're going to do the from memory, so shit, it's all downhill from here, as they say. There's something I'm really bad at, a short, subtle curve. I suck at those. And it's way too big, but who cares? Again, the angle, it's a little bit better. Still needs to be more like that. So I guess let's just make the hand oval hand. shorter. It's probably that this curve is way too long. I mean, I can't really do much more draw over because that just becomes completely unreadable, so I'll leave it like that, hope for the best. You'll probably find me saying that quite a bit during this video series. In a way, that's what art is just putting down lines and hoping for the best, but the purpose of these studies is to really make it a little bit more of a concrete science. I don't know. It's never really going to be a science. There's always going to be infinite variations to how a piece turns out. But I just really want to understand a human figure, be able to draw it in perspective from imagination. I love that curve there. It's like almost like a gesture, right? I don't even know what it is, like how the torso like curves into the glute. This is where that lack of knowledge of anatomy really starts to show, because I have really no idea what's going on in this bottom section. I can identify a leg, I can identify the butt. That's really it. Okay. Don't know why I'm always starting with the neck. Just like it. Love that shape for the neck. One thing I'm really not paying much attention to, which I probably should, is the hatching direction that he uses when he's indicating these planes. I know hatching direction is extremely important when it comes to the effect it has on the overall image. Quite hard to see when you're just concentrating on like a little section. But when you see everything in context, it really does make a huge difference. It's something that often trips me up. Been a little bit wide there, but I do actually kind of like the effect it has. I'm going to leave it. Nice, easy to find plane at the bottom of the arm. Sure, this has got a name, whatever I'm hatching in now. But I don't know what it is. See that connection really feels like the upper arm slots into the shoulder at that point. Just gives it that sense of reality, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So, hey, I guess in that way, this video isn't a complete waste of time. Okay. Actually, I think this is actually coming out a little bit nicer than the other ones, or the other one I've done today. I feel like it's a bit more of a solid construction. This say that I make a mistake. So that's something I really don't understand that well, but something I really want to understand. Is how overlaps of the human form work together. Because I understand the sort of base theory of overlaps. But when it comes to the human figure, there's so many of them going on. Just so many to keep track of that it really does become quite tricky and difficult to work out which ones go where. Oh, curved that one the wrong way. It's another thing that you'll probably see me do quite a lot. So I often will curve my contours, my cross contours, in the wrong direction. Something I need to watch out for. But undoubtedly it will pop up again at some point. It's way too deep. Again, since the legs really aren't the focal point of this image, try not to spend too much time on them. Just get it sort of roughed in and then move on. There's going to be a plane change, kind of like here. I guess that's, if you really knew the shape of that muscle, that's kind of what Bridgman's trying to show at that point, I think. But I don't know what the shape of that muscle is. I don't even know what it's called. So, again, I'm not going to try and copy it directly. Or at least too directly. Because it's that weird thing of if you just copy without really trying to understand what they're trying to show, then you might gain some useful information about where to put lines for a very specific pose. But you're not really going to gain much understanding beyond that. He says, as he copies an abstract line, that he has no idea what it means. Cool, so I think this one is pretty much there. Just get the face in. Actually, I gotta admit, I kind of like talking whilst I'm drawing. Keeps me not getting too bogged down in the details and the many, many, many mistakes that I make. Okay. So, what can we glean? That's in the wrong place. So, what useful information can we glean from this one? I'm going to stop it there. I actually think it looks a lot worse, just as a drawing compared to this one. As to why that is, I'm really not too sure. I prefer the neck. A bit too long, but I prefer it. I much prefer the way this group of muscles on the back attaches into the lower back. Feels much more genuine. But overall, this woman just looks kind of emaciated. She looks a bit ill, truth be told. I think it might be in this gesture line that I was trying to capture of how the lower torso joins into the hips and connects. And I kind of, because I put this leg very high up, it doesn't really show the turn as well. Maybe if I put it there. And I just straight up went in too close with the waist. More like that, maybe. I mean, obviously now it looks ridiculous because it's like you're seeing a part of the front torso of the belly, but the overall structure and pose wouldn't allow you to see that, so, or at least that's why I think it looks ridiculous. But hey, we live and we learn. I'm not going to, at least I managed to, I feel like I was a bit better with the overall length. Yeah, the overall length of stuff is a little bit nicer, I feel, on this one. It's a bit closer to the mark. Just stop fiddling with it and put the lid on my pen. It's a little bit closer to the mark. And the negative space is good. Angle from here to here. Angle from here to here. To here. Feels a bit better. That's too long. The bicep, upper arm. It's actually better in here. But I think the main problem with this is it's not turning properly. It doesn't feel like the form is really turning that way. I don't know exactly where that is. No idea. So I guess I just leave a note and trying to remember to look up later. Although inevitably I never will. Because the thing is, how would you even look something like that up? Other than just looking at lots of poses of people with their back to you. And at that point, I feel it'd be much more efficient to just try and draw all of those people. Rather than trying to calculate it. Somehow it's twisting. Yeah, I've drawn that box wrong. How to draw a twisting box. I mean, this is probably one of my main issues of why I struggle so much with figure. Nope. Okay, that's the fundamental. So I guess let's just draw that up again. Okay, just trying to get the sense of overlap. Right, okay, so that's twisting. It's twisting the wrong way, so I guess we'll twist it the right way. How am I finding this so hard? Okay, so that's twisting. I'm thinking it was twisting the right way before. So if we were to apply that to a box, this one coming down here and hitting a straight. Up. This one coming up here, hitting a straight. You okay, baby? Nah, we're good. Hmm? Yeah, not bad. Okay, that didn't work. How to twist a box. I feel like if I understood this well, I would much likely have a much better understanding of how form turns in space. So this is going to be my exercise after I finish this video today, is just twisting boxes. Okay, so now for the true test and the true humiliation. We're going to draw this figure from memory. Just going to check the camera's still recording. Okay. Check the voice is still active. Okay. So, I remember that. Do I remember anything else? Okay, let's try and get that gesture in there. Should allow me to box the hips. I'm not sure that this sort of ellipse technique is actually all that helpful in this circumstance. Or generally at all, but I'm going to try and use it anyway. Find that center line for the box. Okay. And then we had these sort of ovoid ellipse shapes. All sort of interlocked on top of each other. They fed down into this. This was kind of more of a... I don't know why I followed that line there. It should be more like that. Fed down to here. Top of the sacrum, just above that thing. Cleft, I guess it is. I don't know. You can see I'm like really focusing on just the forms of the back. And the reason that is that's really all I remember well. Everything else was kind of just roughed in shapes based on Bridgman's contours. So they really don't stick as well in the memory. Maybe like that. I'm pretty sure that led into the arm. The arm is coming out this way. Yeah, I need to focus more, I think, on just using simple as shapes. And that crazy hand, I have no idea how to draw. Very easy to remember the simple shapes. Really quite difficult to try and remember complex forms. Yeah, I mean, from this point it's really anybody's guess. But we'll keep going with it. I'm actually just going to use a Loomis method here. Probably not very well to try and get that face worked out. Because I really cannot. I remember it's lots of jagged lines, but this is the problem with just copying someone else's lines, is if I'd really thought about sort of volumes he was trying to express through his lines rather than the lines themselves, I would likely be able to repeat this with far more accuracy. Wow, this really is making it worse, an abomination. Remember that gesture line there? Fed into the butt. And that was kind of a bit stuck out. Then this leg kind of just disappeared down there. Wow. Look how bad this is. That's really all I can remember. Really don't have a great visual memory at all. Which I think is fine. I think it's something that's necessarily needed to be a great artist. Obviously it helps a lot. We can still make do without. Yeah, I mean this side, this contour here, how the part of the side body of the, I guess, hang on, let's try and work it out if we put the rib cage in. I mean, I've put it in the wrong way. As if it's the rib cage is facing the back, but we need the needs to be like that. This is what I was saying about those. Wow, just making it worse. About putting those cross contours on in the wrong direction is something I do quite a lot. Absolutely kills the drawing. It doesn't kill it, but it's just when you're trying to figure out where stuff needs to be, it makes it extremely hard. And at a certain point, it does make me think maybe I should just give up and start again. But I want this to be an honest recording. My suffering is your entertainment. And hopefully, through it, we can all learn something. I mean, maybe it's not as bad as I thought. I mean, it's pretty bad. But it's not absolutely... Well, I mean, depending by which standards you judge. By my standards, of where I'm at in my art journey, or whatever, I think this could have turned out a lot worse than it did. I mean, the head particularly is an absolute mess. Wow. I'm not even going to do any more on that. That's as much as I can remember. So let's have a look at the original. Good God. So, again, wasn't paying attention to the angles. I was just trying to remember the forms. Missed key plane changes. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. At least I got these planes in there. Accentuate the wrong parts of things. But that's fine. It's still kind of... You get the basic forms of the back. Not too bad. Although they look a little flat. They're not really wrapping around that center mass properly. Really want them to wrap. Around. Whereas mine just feel like they're splattered on there. Didn't get the plane change there, which I said I really liked. I'm not going to put it in now because that'd be disingenuous. Missing like there's a whole rhythm there that connects this muscle to that thing that curves into that. I feel like that's a key rhythm for this pose. It's like that line along there. Obviously the face is just fucked. But it really wasn't the focus. Likewise the hand. The arm. The lengths actually aren't too bad. It's just the angles again. The angles are wrong. Gone straight out rather than a tiny little subtle angle down for the upper arm. Dios mío. Anyway, so I guess what have we learned? Well, we've learned that I cannot draw figures, but we knew that. But what we have learned that's actually quite useful is I'm still struggling to twist a box. If I'm still struggling to twist a box, I can't really be expected to twist a whole human figure. So that's what I'm going to do now, is probably draw between 20 and 50 boxes twisting in space, and hopefully I can really get that understanding nailed in. And I will start the next video for next week. Probably warm up by twisting a bunch of boxes, just to prove that I've been keeping up with my work. Anyway, that's all for now. I hope you all have a great day. Hopefully this was helpful and encourages hobbyists like myself to keep at it. And even if it wasn't, it's encouraging me to keep at it, so I win either way. Alright, have a good one, guys.